Okay, I saw a video today online on Instagram actually that got me fired up. They were talking about doing the same old exercises to fix your shoulder pain, just in a better position. You have to coach tension over position. If you're coaching position, then you're not. As soon as you use a weight that's heavier than what you can handle in that position, you're done. And you don't learn anything about actually feeling the muscles that should be doing the work. So this guy was talking about rotator cuff injuries and how people are complaining about their shoulders hurting and their rotator cuffs being the problem. The rotator cuff is not the problem. It's not ever the problem. It hurts, you're feeling pain in it, but the reason that you're feeling pain in your rotator cuff is because all of the bigger muscles, the pec minor, the teres major, not the teres minor, but probably as well as the teres major, right? So the pec minor, the teres major, the lat dorsi, the inside bicep, all of those have stopped activating. All of those have stopped working. As a result, the trap has taken over and pulled the shoulder up and forward, which means that everything you're doing is grinding that shoulder bone against the inside of the rotator cuff. Chances are those muscles are doing all they can in the rotator cuff to take over the job of muscles well larger than them. I think the pec minor alone is bigger than most of the muscles in the rotator cuff. The rotator cuff is 4 different muscles that help to rotate the shoulder joint. There's one in the subscap, there's one in the front, there's 2 in the back, I think, and they work in tandem to help you rotate your shoulder. Now, what also works to hold the shoulder in position is the serratus anterior. So that you can't see it unless you develop it, but it lays underneath the lat and the pec, and it goes from rib 1 down to rib 8, right? And it protracts and it helps to protract your scapula forward. Anybody who does any overhead mechanics, any overhead pressing mechanics, and is moving cleanly through that range of motion will have a defined serratus anterior. That's an additional note. That is something that I'm working on myself to get stronger, to get better on the left side. The right side's working very well, but the right side isn't. Now, something else that has to be worked on is the diaphragm. That's inside the rib cage. That runs around all the way around inside the rib cage and pulls up. That gets a little bit deeper, and we can talk about that another time. But where you got to start, if you're having shoulder pain, if you're having rotator cuff pain, chances are, unless you've actually now injured the rotator cuff by wearing it out or putting too much stress on it or putting it in a compromised position and wrecking it, if that's happened, you can choose to do surgery, right? You can choose to do that. But if that has not happened yet and you are feeling pain in the shoulder and you know your mechanics are off and you know you're hurting but you don't know how to fix it, start by building up the pec, start by building up the teres major, start by building up the latissimus dorsi, start by building up the inside bicep. So if you're a CrossFitter or if you are any other athlete, maybe a throwing athlete, right, like a baseball pitcher or something like that, or a swimmer who's dislocated his shoulder, you need to be able to build the structure first, and then from there you can think about getting in a better position. But a weak muscle is a short muscle, and weak muscles don't turn on. They don't register that you need to be working. What they do is they just sit there and they wait for the muscles that have to take over and have to turn on for your shoulder to move, and then those muscles take the brunt of it. It's an incorrect way of thinking. Julian Pineau on the Strong Fit, in Strong Fit, if you look that up on YouTube, look up Strong Fit. He has so many videos and he's so clear about this. I learned this from him. I fixed my shoulder pain from him and from the group, the Strong Fit community. But it's so important that we stop talking about getting in better positions. We have to focus on the right tension in the right muscles for the given movement. If you are pressing or if you are pulling an internal torque, then what is happening is you are using the pec minor, the inside bicep, the teres major, and then as you get more weight on there and you start switching towards external torque, you're going to use the latissimus dorsi. You're going to use the outside bicep. That's more of like a throw, like an explosive movement. Like if you're doing sandbag cleans or something like that. That's different. That's down the road. We'll work on that. Got me all fired up because someone was talking about doing the shoulder rotation stuff by making sure that we have the shoulder pulled back and down instead of letting it be forward. Fine, that's a great distinction to make, that somebody needs to be in a good position. In a different position here. If you're going to go external rotation, external torque, yeah, you should be back and down because then you are going to be applying to that. But the shoulder should be able to protract in a strong position as well, which is what people are not talking about. There is use for protraction in the shoulder. In pressing, there is use there. If you watch a bench press, watch Chris Duffin. He talks about this all the time. When you bench press, you don't just pull your shoulder blades back. You have to pull them forward. They do come forward. There is 3 or 4 different movements of the scapula during the bench press. It's not just retracted. So it's much more nuanced than this. It's not just one thing fixes everything. You've got to take the time. You've got to learn to feel the right muscles doing the right work. This isn't meant to come off harsh. This isn't meant to come off like you're stupid because you thought that thing. This is meant to come off as this is the time to wake up and start your education and start questioning the conventional knowledge that's out there. Because while you may get some relief from doing light banded rotator cuff exercises at first, and that may last you for 6 to 12 weeks, but what's going to happen is, as soon as you get stronger, then those banded exercises made your rotator cuff. As soon as you get past that point, then you will go back to being in pain. And it may not happen at once. It may take a week. It may take 2 weeks. It depends on how hard you push it. But the point is that if you do not build the bigger structures and get them to work against the trap, pulling the shoulder down and into a better, more solid connected position forward and back, if you do not do that, I can tell you from personal experience, you will continue to feel that pain and nagging in the front of the shoulder. You will feel that pain and you will not know what to do to get rid of it. I went through this myself, and I took the last 5 years and I worked on this. Some suggestions of what to do will come in the next video.